Ah! Ban you if you will use a word, no, a slur job. What did ancient humans do all day before jobs exist? Let's start.
You wake up when your body is ready. No alarm, no schedule, no place you need to be. You sit up, stretch, and ask yourself one question. What should I do today? For 99% of human history, this wasn't a hypothetical. This was every single morning for roughly 300,000 years. And the answer to that question looked nothing like the life you're living right now. Modern humans spend about 90,000 hours of their lives working. That's roughly 1/3.
Dude, that's a lot of hours. To be honest, it's kinda a official statistic, so unofficially probably people work way more. A lot of people work way more, right? Because a lot of people are on the jobs where they are not registered, right? We mostly work way more than official statistic. So let's
Of
keep
your
watching.
waking existence dedicated to a job. But for the overwhelming majority of human history, jobs didn't exist. There was no wages, no boss, no career. Majority of
Okay.
human history, jobs didn't exist. There was no employment, no wages, no boss, no career ladder to climb. So what did people actually do all day? Let's start with what we know for certain. In 1963, archaeologist Richard Lee conducted a study that would change how we understand prehistoric life. He tracked the daily activities of the Dobeju Hwansi people in Botswana, one of the few remaining groups still living in a way that resembles pre-agricultural human life. He found that adults spent about 2.5 days per week acquiring food. That's roughly 17 hours. The rest of
Guys, they were living a life. Like imagine working 70 hours per week and be happy.
the time, they did whatever they wanted. And here's the important part. This pattern shows up everywhere anthropologists look. The Hadza in Tanzania, the Ache in Paraguay, the Martu in Australia. Completely different environments, different continents. Same result. About 15 to 20 hours per week spent on survival activities. For context, you probably
Like, but what you gonna do with all the hours that left without work? Like, let's think. They didn't have mangas, right? They didn't have stickers to stick around. They didn't have video games, and they probably didn't have any pets. So, let's say you were working a minimum 20 hours, right? A week. And you have a shit ton of time to, like, just ball around, right? What are you gonna do? There's no entertainment at all. Like, no toys with police now, with remote controls. Nothing. They probably had pets. Maybe, but let's think about, and it would be maybe a luxury, because let's think about usually on the time period people had a very less resources to feed themselves and their kids. So I don't think they had enough resources to feed another animal. Like right now, I have a bunny here, a parrot, and they require resources, right? If I were a starving kid in the early human history, I would eat these parrot seeds, not feed him, right? Yeah.
work twice that. Now, some of you are thinking, but those are modern people. How do we
Oh,
know
thank you
ancient
for the
humans
follow.
lived the Some of you are thinking, but those are modern people. How do we know ancient humans lived the same way? Fair question. And the answer comes from bones. When archaeologists compare skeletons of ancient humans to early agricultural populations, the difference is dramatic. Farmers were shorter. Their bones show signs of nutritional deficiency. Their teeth were riddled with cavities from grain-heavy diets. They had arthritis in their spines from repetitive labor. And they died younger. Ancient human skeletons, tall.
Guys, if you were had to work on the field, like when I was younger, I was helping with digging up potatoes, like a lot of potatoes, not just like a small cube of land, like a lot of potatoes, and my back was destroyed after just 5 hours of work. Like, imagine what they feel when they had to work 20 hours per week, unlike us who work maybe 40 hours per week, right?
In their spines from repetitive labor, and they died younger. Ancient human skeletons, taller, stronger, healthier teeth, less joint damage. Their bones tell a clear story. They were doing less repetitive physical labor, not more. But the most fascinating evidence comes from something archaeologists found that shouldn't exist if survival was a constant struggle: art. In 1994, explorers discovered Chauvet Cave in southern
Yeah, to be fair, art only can be made when a human's basic needs are met: food, water, and safety. Without them, a human don't really have any energy, any place to in his brain to do something or think something else but survival, right? If ancient humans had art, means their heads was not stuck with survival, right? They probably had food enough, right? Or look, there was a tribe with 5 people. 4 of them were working their ass to feed this one who was making art, right?
Than France. Inside were
Oh,
paintings
thank you for the
created
follow.
roughly 30,000 years ago. Horses, lions, rhinoceroses, rendered with perspective, shading, and movement. These weren't crude stick figures. This was sophisticated art that required skill, planning, and most importantly, time. Someone spent hours, maybe days, deep inside a cave by firelight, painting animals on a wall. Not for survival, not for food, for beauty, for meaning.
I have a theory. These arts were very important to survival. What I'm about to say don't really depends on any study, right? It's just what I think. They were telling a story that the lion was really dangerous, so they had to spend time to carry these figures on the caves and make a small animation with light, right? Their art was not just aesthetic paints on the wall, right? They were making like something like animations when you put on light on specific way, right? So it was very important to survival for future generations, right? I think so.
For something to do. In Blombos Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found 100,000-year-old perforated shell beads, tiny holes drilled through seashells, clearly meant to be strung together as jewelry. The nearest coastline was 20 kilometers away. Someone walked 40 kilometers round trip just to collect shells, then spent hours carefully drilling holes with stone tools, just to look good. In 2008, researchers found a 40,000-year-old flute carved from a vulture bone in Germany. 5 finger holes, perfectly spaced. Whoever made this understood music, they understood pitch, and they spent significant time crafting it. Not for hunting, not for defense, for music. These aren't isolated finds. Across Europe, Africa, and Asia, archaeological sites from 100,000 years ago onward are filled with evidence of decorative objects. Carefully crafted tools far more elaborate than
Right. This tells us a very important thing. Humans loved art even when our survival was at risk, right? At some point of human history, we were left so small amount of humans that we were really about to get extinct, right? I think it was about a period where a whole Earth was in ice, right? As I remember, only 2,000 humans was left, right, to the globe. So we pretty much was about to extinct. But as you say, even when the situations were really hard for for our ancestors, they still had the time to make art, right? It's very interesting.
necessary for survival,
Sorry for
and
the
items
dog
that
barks.
required hours of focused work with no immediate practical benefit. This is what people did when they weren't securing food. They created, they decorated, they made things beautiful. So let's reconstruct a day. You wake up around dawn. The fire from last night is still smoldering. Someone adds wood. You eat leftover
let's
meat
keep
or
watching.
fish from yesterday. Maybe some nuts or berries collected the day before. Breakfast is social. People talk. They plan loosely for the day. Not because they have to, because that's what humans do. Around mid-morning, a small group might leave to hunt or gather, but here's the key. You don't go every day. If the hunt was successful 2 days ago and food is stored, you might not leave camp at all. You might spend the morning working on tools, sharpening a spear, weaving a basket, scraping an animal hide to make it soft and usable. This isn't work in the modern sense. There's no clock, no supervisor. You do it because competence matters, because being skilled earns respect, because making things well is part of being human. If hunting happens, it's not the frantic chase you see in movies. Humans are persistence hunters. We track animals at a steady jog for hours until they overheat and collapse. We're the only
Oh, it's very interesting. Like humans are very good at running long distance, right? But animals are not because they don't have sweat. The sweat cool down our body but let us keep running way more than animals.
Species that can do this effectively because we can sweat and regulate our body
Oh,
temperature
yeah.
while running. Most animals can't. So we outlast them. The hunt might take 3 to 6 hours, including travel. Then the animal is carried back and butchered. Everyone eats. And by early afternoon, the productive part of the day is essentially over. What happens next is what modern people find hardest to understand. Nothing and everything. People rest. They sit in the shade and talk. They play with children. They groom each other.
But like how they were talking, like as this parrot, it's not their whole language was "Ooh-ah, ooh-ah." Like what could that man tell another? How he was able to tell something about, oh, I found this squishy. Probably he will say, ooh-ah, ooh, shoo, shoo.
Picking through hair, reinforcing bonds. They make jewelry from shells or beads or animal teeth. They carve designs into bones or stones. They nap. Anthropologist James Sussman documented that among the Zhuhuanzi, adults spend roughly 6 hours per day in what he called social time. Not working, not sleeping, just being with other people.
I would be terrible at social time. Maybe a lot of people who are here, right? I don't think you will be happy to socialize.
Talking, laughing, telling jokes, because in a world without money or police or written contracts, your survival depends entirely on your relationships. If people don't like you, they don't have to share food when you're hungry. So you invest enormous amounts of time in those bonds.
Yeah, we can admit that being an introvert right now, it's a kind of luxury, right? We don't have to like make these bonds to like purely to survive. A lot of people can survive like all alone, right? You just need one job and work a lot, not like they were working 20 hours per week. So, like we can consider being introverted as a luxury, what we have now, and people in way a lot of years ago did not have.
Not because it's productive, because it's how humans stay human. Then the sun sets, and this is when something remarkable happens. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner analyzed hundreds of hours of conversation recordings from the Zhuhuanzi. During the day, conversations were practical: who saw animal tracks where, which plants were ready for harvest, complaints about someone not sharing fairly. But at night, around the fire, 81% of conversations shifted to stories. Myths about how the world began, tales of ancestors who did impossible things, jokes that made everyone laugh, adventures from far away. Wiesner argued that,
And I think these carvings were made on the night with fire, right? On the firelight, I mean. And they were able to make this good animation. Not like good, but like it's fascinating what they was able to do with just rocks and caves, firelight, right? Was a very simple animation. It was really simple, but for this time, was very impressive, and it was a crucial to survive as a humans, right? To tell a story that lion is dangerous, you can't and you should not hunt lion, and you should hunt something else, right? Oh, thank you for the follow.
this is where human culture was actually born. Gods, spirits, the past, the future. Things you can only think about when your stomach is full and you're safe. And people didn't go to sleep and stay asleep the way you do now. Historical records from medieval Europe and sleep studies from the 1990s confirm that before artificial light, humans slept in 2 phases. First, sleep for about 4 hours, then a wakeful period of 1 to 2 hours in complete.
That's why my sleep is so bad. I am an ancient human, right? I can fall asleep and wake up after 4 hours, and then I can't sleep. And this is why my muscles don't grow really fast. I can't sleep like full 8 hours, like a normal human.
Darkness. Then second sleep for another 4 hours. So here's what a full day looked like. About 4 to 6 hours securing food or making tools. About 6 hours in social interaction, storytelling, grooming, playing. About 8 hours sleeping in 2 separate phases, and the rest resting, sitting, watching clouds, doing nothing in particular, existing without needing to justify your existence through productivity. Then, about 10,000 years ago, something changed. Humans in the Fertile Crescent began planting seeds and domesticating animals. Agriculture. And agriculture is a trap. Once you start farming, you can feed more people. More people means you need more food. More food means more farming. Within a few generations, populations exploded and there was no.
Yeah, and also let's consider that guarding hands, probably a lot of people die, a lot of tribe mates. And when you finally started doing agriculture, nobody dies almost, right? Almost nobody dies when you are like growing cards, right? And probably that was adding up on the food deficit. I think
going
so.
back, because now there were too many mouths to survive by hunting and gathering. You were locked in, and farming required far more labor: plowing, planting, weeding, harvesting, storing.
And that what fucked up our weekly working hours, right? We could work 20 hours per week, guys. And these agriculture geeks, nerds, they ruined it for us. So bad, so bad.
Defending crops from
My heart
animals and
hurts.
raiders. The skeletal evidence is unambiguous. Early farmers worked harder, ate worse, and died younger than the hunter-gatherers who came before them. But the population kept growing, and with larger populations came specialists: toolmakers, potters, weavers, inventors, then soldiers, priests, administrators, and eventually jobs, employment.
Ah! Job! That's this word. Guys, I will ban you if you will use a word, no, a slur called job or employment. No word. Never use this word. It gives me a heart attacks.
The idea that your time belonged to someone else in exchange for resources. By the time we built cities, the original human lifestyle was gone, replaced by schedules, obligations, the need to work most of your waking hours just to survive in the system we created. Today, you spend 90,000 hours working. Your ancestors spent way
And let's don't forget this official statistic. Unofficially, as I stated before, a lot of people work way more and for the absolute miserable wages.
less. You sleep in one block and call waking up at 2 a.m. insomnia. They slept in two phases and used the middle hours for reflection. You spend your life chasing an illusion of greatness, achievements, wealth, and success by standards society invented. They woke up every morning already free, already enough, and at peace with nothing to prove to anyone. They didn't need to become successful. They were already living the life you're working your entire existence to retire into. You make art if you can find time after your job. They made art because they had time, and that's what humans do. We're not
And it was important for Survivor. I think this guy really don't take into consideration that the art was the most reliable way to communicate because they did not have letters, right? They could not just write, "Oh, don't hunt lions, don't hunt these cats, big mice," right? They was not able to do it. So the art was the crucial step to survive. With art, you don't need to like type, write all the words like how to describe the creature. You could just draw and say, "Big red ixic," right? So don't hunt this animal. And it was very important to survive. Don't forget
not a
this.
different species, but we live so differently from how humans lived for 99% of our existence that we might as well be. We traded freedom for food security, leisure for population growth, time for productivity, and most of us have no idea what we gave up because we never knew it was there.